Welcome speaking. Yes, I can solve your sales problem. You know where my office is at the Spaces, right? I'll see you there soon. I'm gonna have my coffee now. Bye.
Earning business. Going out there and grabbing the right attention. With effective engagement. Earning the relationship. Producing more sales. Increasing cash flow, multiplying annual revenue, producing higher profit margins, and a huge return on your investment capital.
You know, your actions, what you do, the actions you take, starts in the mind. It's so to me, the most phenomenal profession, and I might be biased to it, but if you look at the successful people in the world, they're powerful salespeople. So I believe that the most valuable profession you can have, notice I said valuable, is being a top-notch salesperson. It really is, in my opinion. You know, am I biased to it? Yeah, maybe, but it is. You know, top salespeople make the world work. You know what I mean? So what am I going to talk about? Okay, part one is this. There are three things that you have to be aware about at all times, and that you have to master, not only in yourself, in the environment, or people, you just be aware of them. Because if you do, your sales are going to be very consistent, and you're going to be able to inspire, encourage, motivate, and get people to take certain actions for themselves that's going to benefit them. And sometimes people need that push, and that's what top salespeople do. So what am I talking about? It's how to sell, whether it's on the phone, like me, or my business initiates on the phone or through a phone call. I don't personally like emailing people, texting people. I don't like doing any of that because I think it's impersonal. That's just my personal view. Whenever I get text messages or email messages or anything like that, I never, ever respond. If you really understand it, it's going to change your business. It's going to change and increase your sales. But more importantly, it's going to make you more valuable, not only as a salesperson, an entrepreneur. Okay, so what are the three things? The number one thing I learned, what do I mean by body language? Your body language discloses the mercy of the other person, right? By standing up and down is when the selling process is coming to a close and I'm ready to close it. I got to be calm, cool, collective, and then I sit down and then I get the deal done. But in the beginning, I'm always standing up because that's how I know how to give my best performance. Because all I have is my voice, right? And that voice has to create a certain emotion to the prospect on the other side of the phone, right? And they have to be able to visualize that. I call that hypnotic selling, because all I have is my word. But my body language determines how I tell the story and how I communicate with the prospect. So if you're doing a seminar and you're doing a social event in front of people, your body language is going to determine how you sound and communicating with your audience. Look at the top speakers, how they use their body. You got to use your hands, you got to use your body. It's important that you do that. It keeps people engaged, believe it or not. So body language is one of the most powerful skills you should learn to produce more sales. It's absolutely phenomenal, because if you can master and read people's body language, you can control your body language and how you speak. You're ahead of the game over 95% of the people critical to my selling. Notice I use my hands a lot. It keeps people engaged. That's body to master. And this is not to sound arrogant, but most prospects are at your mercy. Okay? Now, it's called tonality language, right? What you say and how you say things to the... Share your comments below. Let me know what you think. Or of the phone to hang up on you and not listen to you, right? That's their power. But if you know how to use your tonality, it's going to get the prospect engaged in your story to them. What do I mean by story? Because all I have when I speak to people on the phone is my voice. My voice has to do several things. What I say and how I create in them, the excitement I create in them, the vision that they're able to project over the words I say and how I say it, and it's getting them personally engaged in it. Let me give you an example. And if it's an audio one, and let's say it's an hour of podcast and you listen to it for an hour, the reason are the distractions. How they speak, what they say and how they say it, it's what's going to determine how loyal you're going to be to that podcast person, right? So for me, when I cold call a prospect, I know that my tonality is everything. I have to learn to get them excited, get them back down, get them emotional, get them smiling and being happy and conversating with me. What I say, even with objections, how I handle the objection with my tonality, right? So your voice inflection and how you use your tonality is 100 miles an hour all the time, unless it's just a song that's just with beats, right? But your words can create 100% emotion and crying, because then it's going to wear people out. So your tonality has to be balanced. It's like playing an instrument. I call it the oohs, the ah, ooh, like the stock market, right? You got to get people engaged, and your tonality language is going to determine how far you go with the prospect. Now, here's one thing you need to understand. We're all prospects. Or we need to buy something. When we want to buy something or invest in something, we have to be emotionally involved. Logic is out the window most of the time, right? Because when you want something, it's emotional. And those are the two things that influence us. Give you another example. Men in general fall in love with what they see. Women is the opposite. They fall in love with what they hear and feel. Right? That makes sense? So tonality is so critical. Does that make sense? Share your comments below. Let me know if you agree or disagree. What's the third thing? The third thing involves several things. First of all, questions, objections, and rebuttals. Why is that important? Because when you ask questions, you got to figure out and discover what. But let's say while you're in the selling process, there's certain questions you need to ask to pre-qualify them up front, so that when you ask for the order or you're ready to close the deal, you know they can afford your price, whatever that price may be, right? So how you ask a question and the type of questions you ask will determine the story you tell, how you tell that story with your tonality and your body language, and how they're going to be engaged, right? So when people object to your selling techniques or your selling process, buy from you or do business with you than someone else that called them prior to you. That's how I love when they give me an objection, because I know on the underlying factor what that really means. So how you handle objections is very critical. You may not realize that. They won't tell you that. And the way they tell you that is they either hang up on you or they waste your time, and and when you how you handle those objections with how you say the rebuttal and what tonality you say it, how your body language is, because how your body is and your body's flexing is going to determine your tonality. A book right now that I've been planning for years ago, and it's something that I wrote years ago, but I never did publish anything. It's called Hypnotic Selling. How to get people to do business with you over the phone within 12 minutes. Okay? Now, it's not hypnotic like, you know, these gurus talk about hypnotic. It's about how you tell a story, what you say and how you say it to get people engaged and get them to take action. Does that make sense? So those are the three things. Rebuttals are important. Okay? Now, here's the bonus. When you understand body language, and you have to keep this in mind, the way your body is over the phone, like me standing up and how I move, and when I say something with my tonality, right? You have to keep in mind that that's transforming, or it's transferring your energy to them, and what their body language is saying going to determine their actions. Thoughts dictate how you speak, right? So here's the bonus. What you say, how you say the questions, the rebuttals, and and how you ask the question. I look at it this way. It's like a musician writing a song. What do musicians do? That salespeople do? Emotions, whether it's crying, happy, sad, angry. That's what the musicians do. They get people to make decisions. That's what top salespeople do. And what is that called? Which the questions, the rebuttals, and the objection, and you give it rhythm and tempo. That's a skill that is developed and learned over time if you understand the basics. Think about it. Rhythm and tempo is what people like. When you dance, rhythm and tempo, that's right. When I was a venture capitalist and I was raising money, I was raising millions of dollars. Never met me, never spoke to me. I cold called them, and within 15 to 20 minutes, they'll send me $500,000 on a stock trade. Think about that. When I taught coaching, how to help entrepreneurs grow their sales, and I cold call them, I have a high conversion ratio. Out of 10 conversations or 10 presentations, I could probably close 3 or 4 on the first call. It's like you want to buy let's say a CD, you want to own a song online. You hear the first clips of it, right? It's to a minute, right, Max? That trailer gets you hooked, emotionally involved in that, right? You feel the rhythm and tempo. That's what it is. That's how human beings work. You, me, everyone else. How you ask a question, how you deal with an objection, something you may not like, right? And then you give it rhythm and tempo. It's like dancing to a good song. So keep that in mind, that tonality language, body language, questions, which is basically handling rebuttals, and handling objections with good rebuttal, but it all has to be done with the right tonality. That's very important, especially if most of your business is over the phone. You know what I mean? So anyway, I hope that was helpful. Share your comments below, and until we speak again, I say goodbye. This is Paul Cruz with the mindset and attitude to selling. Talk to you later. Bye.